This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mithras. Mithras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved. Pokemon! Pikachu! I choose you!
The balls from, isn't it?
Well,
Possibly. Oh dear.
right, let's just turn you down a bit because you're all peeking over. Yes, hello everyone, and hello and welcome to this week's episode of Mithras. Mithras is a fantasy role-playing game based on the percentile dice. It's classless, it's levelless, but it's not funless. It's just as fun as any of your other games. It'll take a while for you to get used to, but fear not, because I actually put some interesting comments down below in the bit that is circling, and I will go over the rules as we progress. We left the party at a very, very interesting point last week. They have agreed to help a local barbarian tribe do away with a rampaging beast called the Zugtok. And they headed off. The chief barbarian took them out to where the Zugtok lives in a cave. Bartleby buffed up the party, and Gulliver climbed a rock, and the two fighters, Hengist and Hazras, stood forward, and with the power of Amriel behind them, Hengist let forth an intimidating roar to summon the beast, and the beast did arrive, and safely to say most people were quite shocked by what came out the cave. But before we get into the nitty gritty and start rolling dice, I will allow the players an opportunity to say who they are and the characters they will be playing tonight. And we'll head off straight away because it's up at the front at the moment. We'll go to you, Gulliver. Off you go.
Hi guys, I'm Chugwugger and I play Gulliver, the apprentice sorcerer. He's in the Order of the Kraken, which is one of the four sorcery orders on Odis. His is the blue order, the other ones being white, red, and black. His order specializes in spells involving around communication, teleportation, and transportation. He has the ability to shape his spells, so he can change various aspects of them, like the range, the number of targets that they affect, the magnitude or intensity. He also has the ability to combine several spells into a single cast, although he's not quite up to that standard yet. He also has various lower level spells, which are based around the folk magic school in Mithras. He classes them as his sorcery cantrips, and those are quicker to cast, but less powerful than his sorcery spells. And I shall pass on to Longshanks CPG.
Thank you very much, Mr. Triggerwigger. Okay, so I am Longshanks EPG. Tonight, as always, I'm playing the character Hengist. He is the group's warrior, fighting with heavy armor, sword, and shield. He's had a fair old time with it since he's arrived in Odis. He's gone on some wagon trains, fought goblins, fought a weird ghosty thing. He's travelled through with party to a big tower where they met two warring factions. He's had some very odd dreams as well at one point, one of which he managed to share with Bartleby, where they saw a beautiful, blonde-headed, very sort of like attractive lady, and they talked about various things. He's been all over Odist at the moment, traveling in search of a couple of things. The seeds, which are the all-powerful magic things that are going to cause the end of the world, and he's been trying to help the party and Bartleby recover the more recent artifacts to lead to the fabled Cassini. Not quite sure who Cassini is. I think she's a dragon, but we're not sure. But we need to find the other relic so that we can try and save Bartleby's life. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Medivac, because he was scratching his nose.
I knew that's a cunning plan I did there. Hello, everybody. I'm Medivac, and I play Hazra Khan. He is a nomad. He's the group's scout tracker, forager. He's adept with a scimitar and a short spear, and he's in the mind of that you should never leave an enemy behind you. So, no matter where, he will try and dispatch an enemy, because that way they can never come back and hit you in the backside. He's recently joined the Brotherhood, which is, well, it's a brotherhood that's tasked itself in keeping the balance of nature and keeping track of things that are happening in the world to make sure the balance is maintained. And he's been recently, unbeknownst to the rest of the group, he's been given an amulet, which it does act very strangely. He doesn't know what it is yet, and it acts very strangely. It grows warm sometime, and then sometimes it does nothing. But he's looking more into finding out why it does this and what it does. He loves his short spear. That's it really. With that, I shall pass on to Mr. Pickles.
I am Mr. Pickles, and I play our team's theist, Bartleby Fumus, who is a rather timid and cowardly character who serves the white moon goddess Amriel, who blesses him with the ability to work miracles such as healing limbs and bringing poison and disease out of the bodies of people. Most of the minor prayers that come from the folk magic category and the miracles that Bartleby is able to work through his goddess are based on light, healing, energy, and mostly just improving the human condition. I haven't used my energy prayers too much recently, but that is one of the big parts of Amriel's teachings. Bartleby is also our team's knowledgeable sort on monsters and local history. He's particularly affectionate towards goblin stories and narratives. In fact, everything's basically a goblin if you think about it. Bartleby once was known for his horrible mangled hands, but since the start of our adventures, he's gotten a bit more jewelry that makes him stand out in different ways. He's got a magical bracelet, and a magical mask that can never be removed. And I believe Longshanks was telling a little bit about my big goal as Bartleby. So I need to find the last... What's that?
I said I think Longshanks just fell over.
It's classic Longshanks right there. But anyways, I have to get the third piece of these two magical items in order to open up a gateway to Cassini the dragon and solve all the big problems in Odis. Fortunately, the necklace, we believe, is around the neck of a noblewoman who is possibly in love with Bartleby.
Oh.
So can't really cut our head off to get it, and I don't think she can remove it, and so I don't know. And that's Bartleby's problem. Passing off to you, Animals.
And now that we have the Mithras Companion has come out live, I actually have access to the social conflict rules, which we play tested some time ago. So I'm looking forward to generating some conflict.
Can we use them against the Zugtok?
Yes, you can. He does have willpower that he'll have to default onto.
We can seduce.
Actually, no, I tell a lie. He has dance as well. So he can do a romantic dance or some kind of movement. Yeah, so the party now stands. I'll just go to the so everybody can see what is happening. And this is the situation as we left it last week. Now, just to give people some information about what's happening, this big creature here, that is a Zugtok, and he's there, and these two bushes here above and below are the entrance to the cave. Hengist is here. He currently has on him, he has 2 spells. He actually has I think he has Blade Sharp on his sword, yes. And he has the Shield of Amrel on his shield over the top of his shield, which means that Hengist is controlling it rather than Bartleby through the power of his god. This is Hazra down here. Hazra has Blade Sharp on his scimitar that is at his belt, and he has protection on from Bartleby. So Bartleby has buffed everybody up and now has headed back to the camp. As fast as this is Gulliver. Gulliver climbed up onto a series of rocks.
Because I didn't get any spells cast on me.
Yeah, and he has a position of elevation, ready for the attack. Mr. Bartleby is here, and he is hiding behind a rock, so he will be able to hear sounds of battle, and that's it. This guy with the red blob on is the sort of like the chief of the Black Veil barbarians that brought the party here. This is the party's mule and wagon. Whip it. That's it. Yeah, I forgot about that. Whip it the mule. So
otherwise known as food for the beast.
Food for the beast. Now, no big traps were made or filled with spikes or anything like that before the party embarked on the combat. Combat initiative was rolled, just to let you know that in this game there are combat rounds, and each round has several turns on them. Each character has a certain number of action points that they can use within a turn. They can only use 1 action point per turn, and we just keep going through the turns until everybody has used their turn up. Action points up. Initiative is rolled by rolling a 1d10 and then adding their initiative bonus, and you can see down from the turn order here that the initiative was rolled last session. So Hazra got 19, followed by Gulliver with 17 because you had the higher initiative bonus. Then the Zugtok, which for some other reason is coming up as Black Bear on the thing. Then Bartleby, and then Hengist. Bartleby, do you go before Hengist because of your initiative bonus, or are you both the same?
Doesn't seem likely. My initiative bonus is a 9.
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah, so you, Bartleby, there you go, Bartleby.
Hengist has an initiative bonus of 7, bearing in mind he's wearing full plate armour, so he gets quite a heavy negative for wearing that.
Yeah, so I've got a card ready for combat central up here for people, so you can see what happens as it goes through. So just before we start, is there anything that anybody would like to, questions that you would like to ask, not about your character's movement or anything like that, just any questions that you're unsure about the general layout of the map? I presume you can all see it that I've moved you across. Yeah.
Yes.
Any
How do we get out of this outfit?
Well, yeah. So, right. So
If it does come to me having to use my weapon, I will passive ward my head.
Okay, yeah, got you. Okay then, so let's start off then. Let's get straight into it without a huge synopsis. I've got all my battle cards ready. I've got all my 4 favourite specials all set up, ready to go. So the combat starts. Henger's let out the war cry. The Zugtoks came out. Is a skill thing right?
10 meters away from me. Is that
Yeah,
about right?
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So we start off now. Just to let you know, we're going to trial a new combat thing that I might allow you to combine certain movements with other actions. Can you please just pretend that doesn't exist to start off with, and then let me say, oh, you can do that, rather than assuming that's what's going to happen, because otherwise there might be a whole load of different actions having to change. So assume that we're just playing the normal rules as we go on. Okay then, everybody's on, so we'll start off with combat round 1, turn 1, and we come straight to you, Hazra.
Azra, seeing this huge monstrosity burst out of the cave, he's got his spear in his hand. He wants to plant his back foot down, lean back, and throw a spear at it.
Okay then. So you will roll your percentile dice, and we will knock off an action point as well. Yeah. So you are you going to use a point of luck?
Please, that would be really nice. Yes.
Okay then. So you characters can use luck to do one of several things. They can either re-roll a failed dice, get me to re-roll a dice, so I would not succeed, or they can revert the digits in their score. So on the standard roll there, Hazra got 80, so you can use a point of luck to revert it to 0.8. Okay, yeah. So you whack. Charge your spear at the bear. The bear, or the Zugtok, sees it coming, and just sort of like, as this sort of like thin thing comes towards him, he actually bats it to one side with his giant bear swipe of a claw. I need to know the size of your weapon.
It's medium.
Yeah, so I am, let me just check, because I've got it written down, because I'm all prepared. Right down at the bottom it is. Claw, yeah, so his is huge, as it comes flying across. So, and somebody will remind me of the roll if I get it wrong. I do think that means that I take no damage rather than half. But I'll check. Defending weapon is huge, medium. Yeah, so you sort of like flies towards him, and he just sort of like knocks it out the way, and he sort of like lets out a sort of like like this, but a more guttural bear sound as it comes. And we move on to you, Gulliver.
Gulliver's seen that.
Gulliver, just so you know, so because you might need to know in future. Oh no, I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So Gulliver, the first thing he's going to do from atop his perch on these rocks, seeing that combat has been initiated, pointing his fingers with the 2 fingers crossed at the at this big Zugtok, whatever it is. You hear him say, "Emmet!" as he casts a spell. The spell that he is going to cast is one of his cantrips, and it is this spell.
Okay, so Gulliver will roll his folk magic spell. Magic in this game is fueled by magic points rather than levels, as in D&D. Yeah.
and I will use my first point of luck.
In the first 2 actions, we've had 2 points of luck.
To reverse those, given the 49, you are allowed a resist roll on your endurance, which you will make.
Right, endurance, which is that roll. Hang on, where's there's my skill roll. My endurance is that. Yes, he certainly does make it. His endurance is 66 and his dice roll was 37.
Which would, if it's an opposed roll.
Oh no, yes, no, it means you will win, isn't it? Yeah, because it's an opposed roll. Well done. So therefore, I gain 1 point of fatigue, 1 level of fatigue, unless I am immune to it.
Unless you are immune to it.
And then I'll be absolutely fine. Okay then. Yeah, I'll just pop a little picture on here so I can remember that.
Is it? Sorry, can I just a quick question? Is it a free action per turn or per round?
It's a free action per round.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Is that all right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Right. And now it's the Zuktok's turn to go, and it will move and use its action point to sort of like move. It looks like it's sort of like spanning both of you at that point. It looks like it can turn to either one of you, either Hazra or Hengist. It's in combat with you both. And Bartleby, you're up.
I can't see the beast from this angle.
You could probably see it towering above. You could probably see its fur hide from either round the corner. If you want to, you probably got a bit of cover. Tell me what you would like to do, and then I can.
Well, I was thinking there's not really much Bartleby can do other than hope and pray to Amriel that his friends will be okay.
You could cheer. Go Hengist, go Hengist. Oh.
I don't know if I want to make a lot of loud noise. I'm quietly praying that the spells, the miracles that my goddess has given.
If you would like, a better position, then here would be a better position. You would still get cover from the rock, but you would be able to see exactly what's coming. So you can use your movement action to get up there if you wish.
I think I will do that actually.
Yeah.
We'll pray next turn.
Okay then. So move up to there, and then that's it. Now, Hengist, you're up.
As soon as this massive creature comes within range, Hengist will attack with his sword. Okay,
cool. Yeah, so you swipe it to at it as it sort of like tries to as it comes towards you. You sort of like take a mighty swipe at it, and it sort of like sees your shield, your sword coming round it as it sort of like lumbers towards you, and it sort of like holds out its massive paw or forearm in an attempt to just sort of like parry the blow. Oh, look at that! Yeah, and you sort of like swing it round at it, and it almost like sees it coming, and it just sort of like lifts its hand, its arm off the ground as your shield sort of like your weapon sort of like slides underneath it. I just want to do, yeah, and it's going to use enhanced parry, which generally means that on its critical special, that it'll get, because it'll get 1, and it basically means that the entire force of the attack, no matter what the size of the defender's weapon, the whole damage is just negated in one fair swoop. So he sort of like comes lumbering towards you, you sort of like hold it back and take a huge swipe at it, and it just sort of like lifts his arm, and it just sort of like swipes through nothing at all. Right, and that is round, that's turn 1 done. Hasra, we're coming up to you for turn 2.
I can't move out of combat because I'll get a free action, mind you. So,
you can move out of combat. You just need to make an evade roll.
Yeah, which I don't really want to do. I'm going to draw my weapon while the free action to shout, "Do we have fire?"
Yeah, so you sort of like draw your weapon, and sure as you sort of like brandish your scimitar, you suddenly notice that it glows with that fiery moonlight as Amriel sort of like imbues it with its power. 17, you're up, Gulliver.
Okay, the next spell that Gulliver is.
Can I just say, did you notice that I critted on a hard?
I know.
Were you in? I was dead chuffed about that.
It's just not going to go our way, is it?
The next spell that Gulliver is casting, he is again pointing at this large monstrosity with his fingers crossed again. This time, he doesn't know whether or not this one's going to work, but he's going to point at it and he's going to say, "Idalbalad." And the spell that he's going to cast is this one. And he's going to do it he's going to try to cast it onto its right paw claws.
Yeah, okay then. So you sort of like fire it out at its claws. I don't have a resist for that, isn't it?
No, but I need to make my.
You need to make your roll, yeah.
Which I don't. Which I'm not going to look at.
Okay then, so you sort of like cast it out there, but normally you do this on weapons, and it seems the magic seems to formulate around the claws. And Hengist, you sort of like see it, Gulliver's magic appearing around the claws, and they tend to go a little bit almost like brown and rusty for a while, and then it doesn't seem to be able to keep hold, and it just all of a sudden dissipates, and that's it. And yeah, and it's the Zuktok's roll now, and it's out of action, so it just doesn't do anything. And Bartleby, you're up.
Well, I just heard Hazra shout for fire, but I don't know where, so I'm going to make an educated guess and call upon my goddess to bring the righteous fire of the moon down. So,
cool.
And I'm going to bring it down on... quick question: Is there a lot of like long grass around here, or?
It's roughly what it looks like. It's almost identical. It looks like any sort of like there's some bushes around that you can call it down on if you wish. There is some grass just to the north of Hengist, if you can see. There seems to be quite a lot of bare earth though, and it's probably because this Zugtok probably comes around and scavenges around here or ducks and drags things over it, etc. But there's a little bush by you. Or you can are you using Ignite? Is that
yeah, let me just go ahead and post that so that it might help us a little bit. My first reaction is to put it on like a patch of fur.
Yeah, that's
I'm not sure if that'll do as much as I want, and I don't know where Hauser wants it, so I'm just gonna. I figured the grass is too short, so I'm going to go a slap of a handprint of fire on its body if my goddess.
Yeah. Okay then. So roll your. That's just folk magic, isn't it? So roll your folk magic.
Oh, goddess, you better love me.
Yeah. So you sort of like tell me what it looks like as it happens.
I imagine it's kind of like a beam from the sky, just sort of appears and hits in a little handprint shaped spot on the top of the
Okay,
Zugtok.
so roll. Let's roll a to hit roll, a location roll, so we know exactly where it goes. Because I think you call for it from Amriel, and Amriel decides where to sort of like whack it. You know.
And I don't know why it keeps going. It is ranged. Just I don't know why it keeps changing. In that
Yeah,
character
no,
sheet.
it is. Yeah.
It changed when that update came up.
Yeah.
Speed 2.
So just roll a d20 for me.
13.
So just for people watching, all to hit rolls have a d20 for hit location, which means, that 13 actually comes down on the arm, the right arm, which I think is the one that you try to dull. Is that right?
The right.
Yeah, and and it sort of like zooms down on it, and you notice that it sort of like ignites a bit of the fur. I mean, it's generally used to light candles and torches, isn't it? So it's not sort of like it's not like a flame strike from above it. And you notice that it does actually catch on light of the Zuktok's fur. Hengist usually smell that singed fur smell as you see a small patch of the Zuktok's arm catch on fire. And don't forget to remove your magic points, Mr. Bartleby. And we come over to you, Hengist.
So undeterred of this lightning fast reflexes from this creature, Hengist will follow up with another swift strike. Yes.
Which is a hit, so I need special hit location and damage.
Special, if possible, is going to be bleed because he's using his sword. Hit location is going to be that one.
Okay, his left leg. And
then damage, I'll use. It will come up two-handed, but that's just because I'm using that one because it's got blade sharp on it. So I'm
that's right.
Thing higher. So that's for 11 damage.
So that's a 1d10, is it? Yeah, because of blade sharp.
Plus my damage mod.
Yeah. So that's 11 points of damage to his left leg. Okay, then. 11.
Does it die?
Just keels over.
Yeah, no, it is. It's dead. No.
What a shame.
Of course it's not. Left leg, 11. Yeah, so you sort of like slice through its left leg with your huge sword glowing with Amriel, and it slices through. And you know, a hit like that would normally take a creature's arm or leg off in one fair swoop. You feel some resistance as it seems to be pulled through its natural armour, and it seems that its fur is quite bristly close to the skin, and you do get a good hit in it, and it sort of like cries out and sort of like looks very cross, but apart from that, it's still up. I'll just do my is it an endurance check for my bleed?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, this will happen at the end of the round, so once everybody's finished, but it's easier just for me to do it now. And my roll is I make it, and mine is 30 out of 66. No, sorry, 30 out of 44. What was your to hit roll?
And mine was a 14.
Yeah, so I'll make that so there'll be no bleed going off at the end of the round. Right, that's turn 2 over and done with. So we're on to turn 3 for anybody who has action points left. And Hazra's up first.
Hazra, seeing what Hengist has just done, is taking heart, and is going to just, again, put all his power in his swing, and he's going to use his scimitar just to try to bury it into the arm of this Zugtok. And I need.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at my roll saying that 30 had succeeded. 35 had to 76. Yeah, that hit. So I need special hit location damage.
Okay, can I put another bleed on it? They are stackable, aren't they?
Yeah, but yeah, I'll just have another roll for it, so that's not a problem. Yeah.
So location is going to be 14.
14. Let me just so do some damage for me. Somebody's lunch is ready. 3. Yeah, so you make, is that with the blade sharp on?
You're muted, Ezra.
I muted. Sorry, a blade sharp's a plus.
No,
It's 1d up.
1d up. So my apologies. D10 you want in that case.
Do you have a damage modifier at all? No.
No.
So that's going. So let me, before I do anything, let me just do the bleed roll while we're here. Remember, this is hard for him, and he gets 23 out of 44, which means he will get that bleed at the end of the round, which will increase his skill rolls for another stack, and 8 points to 14, which is his right arm, and you sort of like 8 point. Yeah, you do a bit of damage. It doesn't look like a huge amount at all. You notice that the luckily Amriel's blessing of your blade actually causes it to be able to slice through the natural armor, because without that you would have just hit armor, the natural flesh, and that would have been it. And yeah, Gulliver, have you got turn 3? Do you have any actions left?
I do indeed. Can I use my free action to make a tactical perception check to see whether or not, apart from the wound that Hengist had done and where that spear was jutting out of it, where if there's any other bits of it that have been attacked, is there any other damage that it's taking, any of the wounds that it's got?
Yeah, roll a perception roll.
What I'm thinking is that it's been, maybe the other people that attacked it earlier on, when it attacked the bandits, whether or not they managed to inflict any more damage. I've run it. Yeah, I failed.
Yeah, so you sort of like have a quick look around it, but it doesn't, apart from a bit of burning on its front paw, that appears to be it at the moment. Bartleby, do you have any?
So was that? I want to use that as a tactical one, like a free action.
All right then. So you do want to do another action as well then?
Yeah, I mean, if that's all right, unless that had to be my.
No, go for it.
Okay, so again, I'm going to be casting another spell. So pointing at it with his fingers crossed, he's going to say, "Noit Persid," and the spell he's going to cast is that.
Okay, so he'll have a. Let's see whether or not you roll your folk magic.
No, failed again.
No. Okay then. So you sort of like fire it off, but as it sort of like comes near to it, you don't get the range quite right, or it's a little bit off, or as you fire it, the creature ducks out the way, and then that's it. And Bartleby, do you have any actions left?
No, normally I wouldn't, but I was hoping to spend a luck point to buy an action.
Yes, yeah, you can use a luck point by all means and buy an action now.
We just knock that off real quick. All right, so the action I'd like to do, because Bartleby does not have any reason to believe he's succeeded by Hazra's request, I'm going to try and bring down the glory of my goddess again and burn this creature, or set it ablaze at least to upset it.
Cool. So roll your folk magic.
Here we are, 48 of 60.
Yeah, roll a d20 and we'll see where it goes down this time.
On 16.
Oh, 16's nice.
Yeah.
It's his other arm. and it sort of like flies down. It's sort of like it's the arm near you, Hazra, and you see flames sort of like suddenly appear in a small patch. Hazra, you see it sort of like singe the fur, but it doesn't seem to be actually lighting up this beast at all. You figure that it's either very damp or very bristly.
Yeah.
And so do remember to cross off the luck point. And Hengist, if you have any actions left.
Hengist does. Hengist will continue trying to attack this creature with his sword at the moment.
Cool. Yeah, so you take another almighty swing. So I need special hit location damage.
I had special in my head, but he's already been used. It's already been used. I can't use another bleed. He will use choose location, right arm, because Hazard's done a bit of damage there already, and then you want damage.
Okay then. That's on his right arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's okay. He's just going to make this roll. Yeah, and you sort of like slice into his right arm, and the creature lets out an almighty bellow, and you actually see that you've actually severed some kind of major tendon there. And Hengist, as you look at this thing, Bartleby, can you just roll a monster lore check? And Hazra, I'll let you roll a survival check as well. And Hengist, you can roll your tactics skill as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and Hazra and Hengist, Bartleby, you just hear this almighty roar, but Hazra, you notice this guttural sound from this Zugtok as he seems to have taken terrific damage to that right arm. He almost like becomes enthused, almost enraged, as if he's now going into a blind rage, rather than just sort of like doing damage and causing him to whimper off. It seems that this amount of damage actually almost like puts him into some kind of enraged berserk mode. And Hengist, you've seen not necessarily animals do this before, but you have seen humans do it. That gets almost like full of battle lust, and then just sort of like plows on regardless of injuries or anything. And that brings us to the end of turn round one. So we're now on to round two, turn one. Just to let you know, just to remind you, the Zugtok now has 2 levels of fatigue on it. So it's now at tired. The only thing that it will be any different from winded is that it has -1 for its movement. Everything else is hard, etc. And then that's it. So Hazra, we come to you as this flailing, enraged beast is before you.
Hazra's seen this before in bulls, so he's a little bit wary, but even so, he wants to still take a swing to try to weaken it more in the hope that it will run away.
Yeah, cool.
So you would like one of those.
Yeah, you sort of like slash at this beast. This beast doesn't seem to be parrying or anything anymore. It just seems to be terrifically enraged. So you will get a special hit location and damage, please.
Yeah, special. I'd like to try press advantage.
Okay. Tell me what that does.
That's the one that puts him on the back foot, which I'm not sure is going to work with this, but I thought I'd try it. It's the must defend next turn.
Yes, yeah, got you. I know which one you mean now. Yeah.
Location is going to be 18, which is just one short of the head. Left arm, which is perfect.
Yeah. Okay, then go for it.
And damage will be 1d10. 6.
Where was the location? Sorry, 80.
Left arm.
Yeah. 6. Okay then. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. So you sort of like try to sort of like lay into and try to press your advantage. So this, you're almost like pushing it forward, so the creature has to almost like back off and does forced to defend. But it seems that you've seen this with bulls. They're oblivious to any form of attack or anything. They're totally enraged. Gulliver, we're up to you.
I'm starting to cast a spell. So the spell that I'm casting is that one. It's going to take me 2 rounds to cast.
2 rounds. Okay, yeah.
Sort of like starts holding out his hand this time, and a glowy, spinny ball of water starts to form in it.
Cool. Yeah, brilliant. So you'll have one more round of that to do, won't you? After this one, so you got one left. Yeah, and then it's the Zuktok's attack. And it first of all, okay then, I'm going to do this purely by you've both hit it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, you both hit it. Who?
Mine was softer.
Yeah, I've done 2. That's been quite hard, and Medivac has. Hazra's done 1, which hasn't done much.
Okay then, so let's rather than making it, just choose odds and evens, and we'll go like that.
I'm odd.
Okay.
That was a statement.
I know you're very odd.
Okay, so Hazra's odd, and I get a 3. Which comes to you, Hazra. So
Tank was going to.
I thought that was
to be
odds to win.
Get him to hit him rather than to let him.
Yeah, and Hazra, you sort of like slice through its arm, and the beast just sort of like turns on you and raises up its claw. And just sort of like strikes across you. It gets 34 out of 52, so it has hit. Do you wish to parry or evade? So just to let you know,
I'm going to try and parry because evade's no good for me.
Okay, so
parry, it's nothing anyway because it's just huge, isn't he?
His arm is actually huge. Yeah. So you will. How big's your weapon?
Medium.
Medium. Yeah. So you can sort of like try to put your scimitar in its way as it comes down, and then that will be your parry roll. Yeah. Or you can dive out the way.
I can't beat that roll, so I can't die. No, that's meta, sorry, but no, I'm not very good at evading.
Okay then, so I'll take
success on a 71.
Is that your?
That's my parry.
Yeah, so use up your action, and it sort of like comes across, and it actually you stick your scimitar up, and this huge arm comes around, and you are successful, but your scimitar's blade's just too feeble for this huge backhand claw that sort of like racks across you in
scimitar chops off my head.
Yes. And it just sort of like comes in. So I don't get a special, I don't think. I just do my damage, and then so hit location first, yeah. So here's your. This is where I'm rolling it to. So it's coming into your 8.
Oh, abdomen. Oh, yeah.
Abdomen, and this is his claw, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And it does 10 points of damage as it goes and whacks onto you. So just to let you know, it rolls a 1d8 and got a 1, but then got its modifier on top of that, and it just sort of like goes like that off to one side. Luckily, he doesn't have a special to knock you back, because he would have just bashed you with its claw. So what's your abdomen like?
My abdomen now is -1.
-1. So the first thing that you need to do for
Endurance.
me.
What about protection, though? Didn't I give a little?
Sorry,
Yeah, so you're taking 7 points. You're taking 7 points of damage. No, so 1d3. You have to roll 1d3. Yeah, so I'll let you roll it. That's fine.
Big money, big money.
Yes, roll has 2 L's in it. and,
Yeah.
and you need to put a forward slash in it.
That's right. Oh my
That's something I would do.
Oh, the tension! How's this? Oh, two. So you take an 8 points of damage onto your abdomen. So how much is your armor?
So after my armor on my abdomen, which is 9, would be 1 left.
1 left. So you're still in positive hit points. So you're absolutely fine. But it's sort of like like that. And
Thank you, Unreal.
the bears. So the Zugtok looks down and sees that there's blood from seeping through your pajama cotton type things, and it sort of like sees the blood there and thinks, ooh, that would be a perfect location to hit next time. Yes, that's Zugtok out. Bartleby, you up?
Did I have my club equipped by any chance before we did combat, or is that assumed that I didn't?
You probably didn't, but you can. It depends. Tell me what you want to do, and I'll make the decision.
Seeing that the beast is raging, I would want to either raise my club defensively in preparation for it to charge over here, or just draw it so I could.
Bartleby's getting ready for the 2 fighters to move out the way. Yeah, you can sort of like brandish your club, and you can draw it, and that's absolutely fine, and that'll be your action. Hengus.
I'm just waiting for Bartleby next turn to declare a charge action.
Hengus, you're up.
Hengus is going to continue attacking this thing. He's making decent headway.
Okay then, so roll to hit.
Nope.
No, so you sort of like take a swing and miss it altogether.
Distracted by seeing Hazra's chest just getting demolished.
His abdomen's, yeah, he's sort of like got this huge bear claw sort of like ripped across. Sorry, Darth just said in the chat, drawing club overpowered.
So Enter the Dragon, where he gets those claws across there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you suddenly notice that Hazra doesn't actually have a 6 or 8 pack there. It's just a bit of.
You just have a keg.
Yeah, and we go round 2. It's still combat round 2, and we're on to second pass turn 2. Hazra, you are up.
Okay, Hazra's is shocked. He's not met anything like this before, but he doesn't want to let Bartleby down or his friends, so he's going to take another swing.
Yes,
at this beast.
Swing away. Oh yes, a good decision too as well. So you will actually get 2 crits. One that can be a critical attack if you wish, and then I need your crits first, and then your hit location, then your damage.
I would like to have a bypass armor.
Good one.
That's my main one. And then my next one, someone's impaled, but it's not going to work.
So bypass armor, that's your crit.
That's my main crit.
Yeah.
He knows. Right, sorry. I don't want to use bleed again, but I may have to.
You can use bleed if you wish.
It's not. Yeah, I will use bleed again if you don't, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, location-wise, you want.
Yeah. Tell me the location. 4. Yeah.
Which is left leg.
Yeah. And this would be all the damage going onto him because it would bypass his armor. 9 points of damage, and that take it down to that. So you sort of like whack his left leg again, and this has been damaged before, and you sort of like open up the wound, and you notice that there seems to be some kind of black blood oozing from it, and you do notice that the left leg is the one in round the back of you, isn't it? I'm just trying to think which way round you are. Yeah, and you suddenly notice that it almost like limps slightly, and you notice that you've done quite a impressive wound on that. I'll just do your bleed now, just so we could, because I need a crit to actually get it. So he will gain an extra level of weariness, which will mean that he will be wearied, and it'll be at the end of the next round. Okay, so so you've done some nice damage there with your blade still powered by Amriel. Gulliver, your spell will come off now.
Okay, so I'm going to cast the teleport spell, and I'm going to cast it on Hazra.
On Bartleby, and puts him in.
But I'm not going to teleport him anywhere.
Okay, then you're just going to hold the spell on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then.
Oh, that's weird. I can't click on any of my magical abilities.
So you just need to. You're holding that spell now, so you just need to. When you want to use it, that's when you need to roll your invocation thing. Okay then, and now it's Black Bear's time, and you've really bugged this.
I'm chunking.
You are, and it's just sort of like looks at you so annoyed, and it can see the blood sort of like oozing from your stomach, your abdomen root, and it just sort of like comes round, and it looks like it's balancing itself on 3 legs, and you suddenly think, it can't lift up a claw to swipe at you, and just as that thought comes through your head, you look up and you see that it's opened its great mouth, and it just comes down ready to bite you.
Hurt me, my friends.
Hang on, and so this is my
question in, Wills.
Yeah.
Am I able to intervene at all or not? Do I have to wait for my turn?
It depends what you want to intervene with.
The idea was to try and get in the way of the attack and Hazra.
If you would stood next to him or something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So this huge mouth comes down onto you, Hazra. It's made its hard roll, so it's going to hit you. What would you like to do?
I can't. Oh, do you know? Do I spend a luck point?
I want to do an action instead.
Okay.
I want to use a reactive action.
Yeah.
To teleport him.
Okay then. Where would
making a willpower, by the way?
you? I'm going to. You won't be able because you actually.
I'm still looking.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, you wouldn't even notice the water appearing at your feet because I'm just.
She was looking at her teeth coming down.
Yeah, and just to let you know, when I do this roll, if Gulliver fails to pull you out the way, it'll be a 1d10 plus 10.
Yeah.
Because he's coming down from your top, he's not going to nibble at your knees. It's going to hit your upper body. Yeah. So Gulliver, you need to roll. This is the moment of great power. Oh, nice. Nice. Very nice indeed. Where would you like to put him?
I want to put him. Yeah, it's opposed.
Yeah, but
I can't be this anyway.
No, it's opposed with you as well. I believe.
With me.
I believe so. Yeah. I think it.
Is that because it's a reactive action?
Yes, I'm almost 100% sure it is. Just let me.
Reactive actions.
No, it's under my spell.
Under your spell? Oh, yes. I remember reading this now. It said something about a resist. Oh, it's evade. Is it It's teleport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Summon. Right. Although the spell each jump is reacted requiring the expenditure of one action point, and can be used to avoid attacks in an opposed roll in a similar fashion to evade. Yeah. Okay then. So what you're doing, your invocation roll is like you're pull him out the way compared to my 41 above. So what happens?
I would also like to use a point of luck to swap mine to a 71.
71, which actually then beats my roll. Just to let you know what would have happened if I was higher. I would have bit him, and then you would have pulled him.
Part of me.
Yeah. the head stays in the Zugtok.
We've got some new boots, guys.
That's a really interesting roll. Use of a luck roll to swap it round so it actually.
Even if it was a success.
Yeah. So
I want to move him as close to Bartleby as I can.
Yeah, you could probably pop him just in the square next to him.
And then I want to use my free action to shout out
incoming. Okay, so yeah, I'm just out of interest. I just wanted to know. I just want to sort of like just play out where it would have gone and how much damage.
I interrupted then because I wanted to get the. Because I don't think that type of action could be.
No, that's absolutely. I like that. Yeah.
Like, oh, if he fails his parry, then I do
exactly.
It.
Yeah, that's so. It would have hit. It would have hit you in your 15.
Right arm.
So that would be in your right arm, and it would have done. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. That roll. Ignore that roll because it's that one. 11 points of damage to your right arm.
Oh, I've got 11 on there. That's fine. No, I've got 5.
Yeah. So you sort of like which arm would it
right arm.
Right arm. So as the mouth comes down, you feebly sort of like try to elevate your scimitar, ready to sort of like block the roll, and you notice at the last moment the Zugtok moves slightly, and you suddenly think, "Oh my god, it's going to bite my arm off," and it just sort of like gets really close, and also you just go like that, and you sort of like get zoomed there, and Bartleby, Hazra appears next to you like that, you know, and
he's wet patch appearing.
Big wet patch.
Yeah, so I do think therefore that's
brown armor.
That's Bartleby's action now.
Yes, and Bartleby was aware of that big hit that hit Hazra in the abdomen, correct?
Yeah, well, you can see he's sort of like there. You can see all his white pajamas sort of like bit. He's all blooded and everything.
Holding bits in.
Yeah, there's a bit of intestine that's sort of like drooping out. No, it's not that bad actually. It's only a minor wound.
It's just claws across my abdomen.
You arrive, Hazra, and Bartleby sees you and just picks out a needle and thread and is going.
I don't think I have time to use my healer's kit, which was also extremely expensive. So I'm going to call Nurse Amriel down to purify your body.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
It was all just an illusion that will leave a nice scar.
Yes, so that's all right. So your I think it completely restores minor wounds. So on your abdomen, you notice that Bartleby sort of like holds his hand out, and golden moonlight and yellow moonlight sort of like emanates around it, and sort of like you feel your abs sort of like skin sort of like tighten up a
together.
bit. Yeah, and when you look down, you can see the massive claw marks across, but underneath your stomach is just sort of like got pale, like fresh skin marks that are slowly healing up. Don't forget to knock your magic off.
Just very briefly, he will quickly lean over and say, "Thank you, my friend."
And kiss Bartleby. And go, what?
I love you. Leave the woman behind. You don't need a necklace.
And back to the combat. Hengist, you're up.
Angus is going to try and take this opportunity of a rare, like with the head being slightly lowered where Hazra had been, and he's going to strike out. Yes.
Yeah. I need hit location damage. Special hit location damage.
Special will be choose location head because the head is there.
Okay. Cool.
And he's going to try and get it because normally he wouldn't be able to reach it. And then you want damage.
Cool. And you sort of like hit him as a head comes down to almost like bite Hazra. You actually hear the Zuktok's fangs or go, "Ang!" You know, as if it's bitten into nothing. And while it's down there, you take a swipe at it and you sort of like skin a slight bit of through his armor. The armor seems to stop the majority of the blow. And you do gain a bit of purchase. And we go on to turn 3. Hasra, do you have anything left?
I'm out of action points.
Okay, Gulliver, do you have anything left?
I do not this round.
Black Bear does. So it's sort of like bite, and he's sort of like Hengist, you can actually see the anger in its eyes as it notices that its meal that was nicely wrapped up is no longer there, and he looks fuming, and he just sort of like turns around and he sort of like sees you as if you're a tin of beans inside a metal tin, and just uses its final action point to attack you. So this is its bite coming down at you. If I can find my skill roll. I don't like it that they've changed everything around here. Bear swipe, here it is. Yeah, and it's obviously a little bit off course, because as it comes round to try to bite you, it just like turns too quickly and misses altogether. Bartleby, are you?
I would like to use another luck point, bringing me down to 1 of 3 luck points to get an action, if I may.
Yeah, by all means.
I'm saving that last one. I learned my lesson, but I want to use that action to bring another prayer onto the now healed Hazra. The prayer that Hazra hopefully can hear me praying is to bring might and valor into his limbs so that he can destroy this beast.
Okay then, so roll your folk magic.
Big money.
Nice. So you will not lose any magic points for that, because it's only a folk magic. It's only a critical roll. So what's your power?
My power is a 14.
14. So Hazra, in your strength, you need to add a temporary 14 onto it, but only when you are doing things like brawn rolls or breaking 3 for something. It does not affect your damage modifier or anything like that. I don't think it does in any case.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Which is for lifting.
Yeah. So if you have to do an arm wrestle anytime soon, then or some pig hefting,
Lump hefting. Way
hefting,
forward.
then that's it. And Hengist, do you have any actions left?
It's going to use his final action point to follow it up with another quick slash.
Cool. So I need special hit location damage.
Special is going to be choose location right on, because he's done damage to that and the head's now gone. And damage is that one.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
what was that? His right arm.
Right arm, yes.
Yeah. So that is three. Yeah. So you sort of like take a massive swipe at it, and you hear some kind of ligament tear from it, and the creature sort of like hobbles slightly, taking its weight off it, and sort of like keeps it a gently thing. But you're quite sure that in this berserk state, it just seems to be oblivious to the pain or anything like that. When we go into end of combat round 2, so some people need to do tiredness. So you'll get endurance check. Who else?
I think I have to roll endurance
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
Do I have
Endurance.
to make one?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's only.
It's just Hengist. He doesn't.
Yeah. So at the end of every combat round, after so many combat rounds, then characters can, because they're fighting, they take fatigue. So Hazra, you're fine till round 4. Bartleby and Gulliver, you are now wearied. So your skill rolls are now hard. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Brilliant. So this is now going on to. Let me just move my action points round. I need to change what it's saying on my beast. So now I will be formidable, because that bleed effect from before happens now. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Okay then. So fantastic. So we're now. This is round 3, turn 1, and Hazret, you're up. Oh, sorry. The other thing is that I need to do. My bear drops 1 initiative because he's weary. 2 initiative. So he'll go down to 15 because he's now wearied. Formidable skills, he's -2 for movement, -2 for initiative, which I put in, but action points, no penalty. Right. So Hazra, you're up.
Feeling the power of Unreal course through him, the fact that she's healed him, he's feeling a lot of angst over this beast. So he's going to run straight over to this left leg here. Well, not run, he'll move over to this left leg here. Ready.
Okay.
Combat.
So you take your action to move, and Gulliver, you're up.
Gulliver's going to delay.
Okay. Bear's time. So it sort of like comes down on you, Hengist, in order to try to rip your head off your body. Let me just see my luck points. Yeah.
It has luck points.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
No.
It's a legendary
So
animal.
I'm going to use a point of luck to reverse my roll.
I should know it had luck points because it was using specials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I will reverse. You can see my roll, can't you? It's blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got 42.
So I'm going to use it to reverse it to get 24, which means I make my formidable attack.
Okay. Hengist is going to try and parry it with his shield of Amriel.
Okay then. So you will just roll your normal defense, and so my roll comes in to your 11, whatever that is.
My 11 is my chest.
So how you parried it with your shield?
So I'm parrying it with my shield. So my Aegis shield is huge because it takes on a hoplite.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you sort of like parry with your shield. And what would be your 11, just out of interest?
My 11 is my chest.
Okay then. So it sort of like comes towards your chest, and you manage to sort of like move your shield using an action point to parry it, and it just sort of like clamps onto your shield, or you manage to butt it as it comes over. Yeah, and that's its action.
Is there any
done.
damage that goes through?
No, because if it's a huge, I'm huge as. Oh yeah, because it'd be half damage. Sorry, yeah. So
Are you warding locations anyway?
no, there's been no. The only
I
person.
didn't declare it.
The only person who's been warded locations is. You must have a hit. You must use a free action to ward location. Right. So I need to do some damage with my mouth, don't I?
Yeah.
And it will be it will take half of this damage. So it'll take 2 points of damage onto the shield as it comes down.
So the shield has 6 armor points. So
it should have. It should have. Does it have?
I think it's invincible, right?
Yeah, it's Samuel, isn't it?
I can repost my
that'd be helpful. Yeah. Cheers.
It should be immune to all damage.
Yeah, so the Engis, the shield of Amriel sort of like takes it. So you have armor points normally and hit points. So I have to get through your armor points to actually cause damage to your location. So yeah, so it sort of like comes down. It sort of like tries to. Bash it, and it's just sort of like you suddenly bring your shield up, and really and truly it's sort of like before it actually gets to your shield, the magic for the faith of Amriel glows somewhat, and there's a slight burst of light as it sort of like hits on it, which seems to make this creature even more annoyed. And Bartleby, we're up to you. Is that right? Sorry. Yes, because Gulliver, you held an action, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes.
You delayed an action. Sorry.
Delayed.
Yeah, Bartleby.
I'm going to pray to my goddess to relieve me of my exhaustion because I might need to heal somebody back up with her. So I'm going to be casting this miracle upon myself.
Okay, then.
Miracles! I'm not going to luck it. That's just a failure.
Yeah, so you try to call down Amriel's power, but really and truly, you get the feeling that she says, "How dare you try to just support yourself?" Or you suddenly think, "Oh, self-preservation. Should I have done that? Should I have cast it on somebody else?" You're not too sure. And then Hengist, we're down to you.
So Hengist is going to, after taking that massive blow on his shield, is going to strike out immediately with his sword.
Yeah, that's a hit. So I need special hit location damage.
Special is going to be his choose location right arm. He's trying to finish off this right arm to get it completely unbalanced if possible.
Okay.
And then damage. 6.
Yeah, you sort of like hit it again, and this right arm is the one that you hit before, and it's already sort of like levered off the ground. And you sort of like hit it again, and it takes another load of damage, and you sort of like see it almost like splitting open a bit now, and the creature just sort of like lets out an almighty howl and growl, and you actually see drool sort of like dropping from its mouth, and the breath as it hits you is absolutely disgusting. And Hazra, you see this and you suddenly think, oh no, beforehand it was mad, now
insane.
yes, completely. Okay then, yeah, so next that's it. We're coming to
I lose my divin now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So now we're on to turn 2, and Hazra, you're up there. Hang on. I just wait before you do anything. I just want to roll something. Yeah, cool. Go for it.
Hazra has positioned himself in the left leg here, and he seems weak. He's been through it once already. He's going to pull him back for a big swing and have a go at the left leg.
Yeah, cool.
If he can.
Hit it. Yeah, you sort of...
I need to change that. Sorry, no, because my strength has my strength changed that?
Your
I don't think it doesn't change
It
it.
doesn't do anything to
All right, sorry. Okay, sorry.
yeah. The only and you've made your endurance roll, so that's absolutely fine. So yeah, so I need special hit location damage.
Okay, special is going to be impale.
Yeah.
Hit location hope you left leg. So let's see what happens. Oh no! Do it with the head.
Let me just see what's the nearest bit for. Yeah, so what we'll say is that you actually hit the abdomen instead. Because you can't hit the head from there, that would be silly.
No,
and the nearest thing would be the abdomen from that left leg. Yeah, so I need left leg. So I need
damage.
Damage. Remember, you roll it twice, and we're taking the maximum version. 7 to his abdomen. Yeah, cool, nice. Gulliver, you're up.
Gulliver is going to use his free action to cancel the spell.
Okay, yeah.
And he's going to open up with his cantrips again, pointing at it. He's going to shout out, "Noid Persid!" and he's going to cast that spell. Ignore the touch thing. It's not touch.
Yeah, no.
Roll is...
Nice. You take no magical drain. I need a hit location, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. So the hit location...
And it ignores all armor, including natural, doesn't it?
12.
12 is its chest. You hit it square in the chest.
For 3 points of damage.
Yeah, and you see it actually it just gets, it's sort of like goes like that on the beast's chest. It looks like it's sorry, because it does natural, it goes through natural armor.
It goes through, yeah. This
natural armor.
Yeah, so it goes through its armor, and it sort of like makes a slight dint underneath. It doesn't look like it's massive. It's 3 points of damage, so it's not huge, and the chest hasn't been damaged yet, so that's it. Yeah, so that goes off, and remember, don't cross off any magic points for that because you've got a critical spell hit. And it comes to my turn. Yeah, and so it would know that you're there, Hazra, but I think it's enraged now, and so it sees the tin of beans in front of it, and it's already been annoyed, and it actually probably thinks that Hengist, you just done that pain in its chest as well, so he seems to be completely focused on you now, and it lets out a tremendous roar and comes straight down onto you. It is completely, you don't think it's enraged now, you think it's actually berserk as it comes down onto you. And it sort of like swipes down at you, and it's going to use its luck point. It's got 1 luck point left, and he's going to use it just to re-roll that to see whether or not he can get a better roll. But yes, which it does, and it sort of like rears itself up, and it looks like it's going to miss. And you do you wish to parry it?
Yeah, Hengist will try and block it on his shield again.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, so you sort of like block it on your shield. Bartleby, does your shield stay there forever?
minutes. I believe it's 7 minutes is how long.
7 minutes. That's absolutely fine then. So you sort of like raise your shield once more, and it sort of like comes down, and it takes out. Let's just roll the damage so we know how much it would have taken. I know everything's absorbed by your shield.
And this is what you could have won.
Yeah, and this is what it could have taken. It would have done 13 points of damage.
Wow.
No, sorry. Well, it's a claw. It's the same claw and tooth is the same. So that would have been a 1d8. It got an 8, and a 1d12. It got a 5. For 13 points of damage. So it's all like buzz down. Again, you see Amriel's magic sort of like go psh, like that, and the beast lets out oh, it's so mad. Just to let you know, you probably saw, because it's enraged, its attack skill has now added 20% onto it. Okay, but it's not allowed to parry anything. He's not allowed to take any defensive actions at all. And the other thing is, he just sort of like just goes for it now. So it's not thinking there's somebody around the corner hitting my abdomen to bits. It's just totally focused on what, and I imagine this wonderful cinematic view as you sort of like there with your shield. It can't use specials when it's enraged either, and it's sort of like it comes down, it whacks off your shield, and it whacks off your shield again as it just sort of like keeps coming and coming and coming. Bartleby, you're up on 12.
I'm going to take heed of what my goddess said to me about self-preservation, and I'm going to just dither, I guess, watching and quietly praying that my friends will survive.
Okay then, yeah. And Hengist, you're up.
I have no more action points.
Okay then, let's go on to round 3. Hazra, do you have any points?
I do, yes. I will, again, I hope to hit the leg and swing with a mighty scimitar. No, my apologies. I wish to pull out my scimitar from the...
Oh, yes, yeah, well
that's
remembered.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a brawn roll.
And you get your added bonus.
I do indeed.
Yeah.
Just...
Yeah, so you pull it out, so I need half your normal, no modifiers to it at all.
So roll 1d5.
No, I not just take half of normal?
Okay, sorry.
Oh no, hang on, roll it.
So you take 4.
Yeah, just let me check that.
It's half of normal.
Yeah.
I've read it.
So that that's in its
I don't think does it.
It's in its abdomen. Yeah.
And it bypasses armor, does it?
Yeah, well, you're inside it already.
Because further injury to the area.
Yeah, let me just check, because I want to make sure that I do it correctly. Impale.
Armor does not reduce to withdraw damage. Yeah.
Wielder must pass an unopposed prone if it resists, probably of causing this to the same half the damage roll for that weapon. So you rolled a 10, so you rolled an 8, so I'll take 4 off my abdomen. And it bypasses armor, so I didn't take any armor off there. Yeah, cool. Okay then. Gulliver, any actions?
He's still got an action point left, and he is going to continue trying to chip away with his disruption spell. So that's the spell that he's casting.
Yeah. A miss. Yeah, you sort of like fire it off, and it just sort of like fizzles out before it gets there. I still have an action. So this comes down. A bite on you. It's almost like biting you one bit at a time now. It's determined to get through. So it hits with a 16. You can't parry.
No,
and you can't dodge.
If I want to use a point of luck either to make you re-roll or to get an extra action point.
It's up to you.
No, not re-roll, swap it. No, I'm going to use my last point of luck, my only point of luck, to make that into a 61. If that's all right. So you'd miss.
Yeah. Can you
I'm
change?
not sure whether or not you can ask him to re-roll.
You-
Oh, I
yeah.
asked him to oh, in that case, no, I won't do that. In that case, I'll use my 1 point of luck to get an extra action point,
Okay then.
so I can parry.
You go for it. So you parry as this comes down onto your weapon. So it. I just want to roll the damage so we know how much is taking out of it. So it would have done 16 points of damage as it comes down. Now it is mad.
Where would it have hit? Sorry.
It would have hit. Good question.
I just want to know whether I'm dead or crippled.
It would have hit your 20.
Well, yeah. So I would have been dead.
So
Your
16
head's off, man.
is not its max damage. It did
No,
7.
20 is max.
Yeah. So it sort of like comes down and you manage to get the shield up just through luck rather than anything else, and it just bashes down onto it, and that brings turn combat round 3 to a halt. Correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Hengist, you need to make an endurance roll, I think, as we move on to number 4.
Fine.
Yeah, absolutely fine. So we're back up to top of the round, combat round 4, and round 1. And Hazra, you are up.
Hazard's now getting the feeling like he's chopping wood.
Yeah. Well, you're thrusting. You're not chopping. You're
That's right,
thrusting.
thrusting. So here we go again. He's still trying to aim for that left leg.
Yeah, cool.
And he's lost where his attack skills are. Oh my god, how as well?
Bartleby, you must feel really nice at the moment.
Yes, I do.
Oh, do you know what? I clicked the little tab thing. There we go. Right, sorry, here we go.
Yeah, you're not encumbered or anything. So 70 will hit. So special hit location and damage.
Okay, impale again
Okay, so that's your special. Roll your hit location.
is a 5 this time, which would be his left leg.
It certainly will be his left leg. So double damage, please.
Double damage coming up. There's 1
Um,
and 2. We'll take the 10, please, Bob.
10. So that 10, 3. I take it down to that. Yeah. So you make almighty swing with your
Scimitar.
scimitar once again. That's his formidable endurance roll as you slice through some major tendons on this back leg, and you notice that the leg just fails, and the beast just sort of like slumps to the ground. It can probably fight with 3 legs, but it certainly can't fight with 2 legs, and it sort of like falls to the ground, and it allows you plenty of opportunity just to finish the beast off, and the combat comes to an end. And that seems to be the perfect time to have our first break of the only break of the evening. It's just gone 8:30, so we're going to take a 10-minute break. We're just going to change underwear where needed, and we will be back with you in
Oh, yes.
10 minutes. So please don't go away. and then we can sort it out. Hello, welcome back. Yeah, the various party members are currently eating or finishing off snacks, so it gives me an opportunity just to recap what has happened and to sort of like bring everybody up to date. So the great Zugtok that has been marauding the countryside, eating various of the Vale barbarians, etc., has been taken down and butchered or killed by our fearless foes, from attacking, from spells. Somebody got a really lucky heal halfway through it after Gulliver teleported them out of there. Are you still holding that spell?
No, I released it to cast my disruption spell.
Because that, I was just thinking, that would have taken
I can
Hazra.
do it as a free action. It would have moved him.
Yeah, underneath that paw. I was
Yeah.
it was just not like
Dead.
here.
Because he's dead then.
Yeah, we'll just say that he's dead. Yeah. Yeah. So the great beast has fallen, and the chief of the Black Veil barbarians comes forth, and just to Bartleby, you must be very pleased with yourself. Really and truly, I can safely say that you probably contributed to damage rolls with Blade Shah, and I think mainly prevented Hazra being that protection took some off, didn't it?
God, yeah.
Yeah,
If
you're.
I'd be dead.
And without the Shield of Aegis, Hengist wouldn't have been able to make that last parry roll, and he would have had -5 out of 6 on his head.
Oh,
So he would have had 1 minus left, and then he would have been decapitated.
yeah. So
And to be
and
fair, much it pains me to say that teleport from Gulliver.
yes, that's what I was going to say.
I was going in a quiet moment after this. Hazra will go to Gulliver, and he will be like, "Gulliver, my friend, you know how it pains me when you use that movement thing that you do, but thank you, my friend."
Oh, I'm quite emotional now. Right, again then, fantastic. So the guy sort of like comes, the barbarian chief comes up to you, and he sort of like prods the Zugtok a few times, and he sort of like addresses you all, and you notice straight away that. Well, you'll notice when I give you the speech of what he says that he's almost like changing events slightly, and
He wants to climb down because he's not going to listen to it.
yeah, and you sort of like gather round, and spells now will have worn off due to the scene finishing, and so you sort of like gather round, and the chief sort of like says, "We have done well. We have killed a great beast."
We?
Yeah, it's good to see, my friend. Where were you? I mean, we have killed the great beast, which was a very difficult task for us to do. But you, my friend, just seem to run over in the far direction over there. But you know that's you tasked us for this job, so
All of you make insight rolls for me.
You sweaty to roll.
And who made the roll?
I don't think any of us did.
No.
Yeah, Hazra did.
That's what it
I did. Very insightful.
Yeah, Hazra, you recognise that he's probably exaggerating the truth, mainly so he doesn't lose face with his barbarian horde. It wouldn't seem right for the chief to come out with you all and sort of like say that he had no part in it. The other thing that you do realise is that although he might have made a deal, a barbarian's words are not
Written in stone.
yeah. And he says, he sort of like looks at you and he says, he looks at all of you and he sort of like makes eye contact with you, each of it. He says, my tribe will be pleased to know that with your help, and he sort of like emphasizes the word we killed the beast. I will keep with my side of the bargain. And I am happy to provide freedom of travel through our lands.
That's very good of you, sir. Thank you.
It looks like you're hiding behind Gulliver at the moment.
Oh, he's standing next to you. You can't hide behind Gulliver. He's taller than Gulliver.
And he says, we will leave the beast here. We can come tomorrow and remove the trophy head to be spiked at our fortress, our hill fort. You, and he looks to each of you in turn, you have done well. Do you know where you are going? Do you need a guide, or are you happy to traverse the rest of this plain by yourself?
I think, my friend, if we could have a guide, it would make things a little bit easier, and then we don't encroach on other people's territories. You surely would know the way through, or your guide would know the way through, without touching on anybody's domain.
Where are you heading?
Asra.
Say again, sorry.
We do have a map.
Which Hazard had a bit of a problem reading, yes.
Yes, the lack of letters and squiggly. I think, Gulliver, my friend, if you know where we are going, it might be worth, if they have a guide that has been in this area for a while, they would be quicker, a lot swifter for us to use them to get us from here to there, because we are trying to catch somebody, aren't we?
The chief says once again, where are you travelling to?
Azrael, Gulliver.
We're going into the mountains.
He sort of like looks around at you and says, you do not look like you are suitably attired to travel into the mountains. I will give you a gift. We have goat skin. It's somewhat damp and smells slightly, but it will keep you warm as you venture into the mountains. Are you heading for the fabled Father Spike?
I don't know. We were heading for the town at the base of the mountain.
He looks somewhat puzzled and says, there is no town this north of Norport.
Oh, maybe my map's wrong.
I suggest we return to the fort. There we can have food and celebrate our victory. And
Yes.
you can recover. Some of you look somewhat tired from your exploits.
Yes.
And he
I
sort
think
of,
it is a worthy fight to celebrate as well.
and he sort of like takes you, and he takes your mules as always, and you lead the wagon back down the across the plains back to the fort, and there's much celebration when you get there. The chief sort of like walks in ahead of you, you're sort of like following, and then Flipper, is it called Flipper?
Whip it.
Whip it, the donkey.
No wonder it goes so slowly.
You know what? We say to every 2 minutes, whip it!
I don't know why I thought Flipper. I really thought it was called Flipper, and I was thinking, what a strange name for a mule, Flipper. Anyway, so
Tune in next week for next week's adventure of Little Mermaid.
Yes, I've got no voice. Okay, then, so you sort of like come back, and the chief sort of like goes in, and he sort of like stands in front of the crowd that has sort of like created itself, and he sort of like announces to the whole group. He says, "It is a time for celebration. For we," and he sort of like holds out his arms to sort of like signal to you for, "have defeated the great Zugtok." And there's a sort of like a and somebody sort of shouts out, "Is it dead? We drove our weapons deep inside of it. It will not rise again. Tomorrow we will head out and claim our trophy victory of the head and search its lair for any significant food or merchandise that we can claim." And there's a great cheer, and everybody sort of like cheers out the chief's name, and there's lots of fist bumping and banging of shields on bucklers, and the younger members of the tribe sort of like dance around, and there's a huge fire built as if they have no care for it being seen miles away, and they bring out what appears to be dried meat. And everybody's so excited because they're going to have a feast tonight, and you are asked to sit two on either side of the great chief, and everybody is there's ale and water for you, Gulliver, and there is some goat's cheese here, which is a little bit softer than the cheese. Yeah. And you sort of like also like celebrate with each other, and your fatigue slowly dissipates away. Can
any music?
Well, there's some kind of rhythmic drumming, and there seems to be a rather wizened woman that seems to have layers of goat fur on, and as she sort of like passes in front of you, there's a distinct smell of goats and urine and things like that as she goes past, and she sort of like rattles a stick in the air and sort of like mutters strange words. And you notice that she's got what appears to be Bartleby, just roll your law. Do you have law animals or law monsters?
I have lore monsters and not animals.
Okay, then just everybody can roll their locale. It doesn't matter if it's set in a different place. Gulliver and Bartleby, you both notice that she seems to have the hooves of 4 goat hooves dangling from her belt. It's as if it's sort of like being taken halfway up the goat's leg, just before the knee, and they're sort of like all wizened, and you can still see a bit of the bone jutting out, and they seem to be tied to her belt, and she's sort of like she doesn't seem to be she seems to be too primitive, Bartleby, to worship gods at all. And Gulliver, she's certainly not a sorceress smelling like that, and she sort of like dances around. And
have we seen goats in the actual village though?
No, you have seen them herding them around, goats and sheep, yeah. And there's sort of like much celebration. Can you, Hengist, Bartleby and Hazra, Gulliver, I take it you're not partaking in the alcohol?
Oh, no.
Hengist, Bartleby and Hazra, I assume you are?
Oh, yeah, well, it's a nomad tradition.
Angus will be having a tankard or two, yes.
Yes. Okay then, and Bartleby.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So Hengist, Bartleby, and Hazard, just make for me, please, a willpower roll.
No.
Yes!
Yes, Hengist, you understand how much to drink
To
and
pace
how
yourself.
much, yeah, and you sort of like, even though you got what appears to be like a wooden goblet, you sort of like take a sip and you leave your gauntleted hand over the top, so it can't sort of like be filled up. Bartleby,
Gulliver will notice that Hengist will have a tankard of ale and then a tankard of water. as
Yes.
well. Like, not alternating, but every so often he'll be having some water along with his ale.
Bartleby,
Of course, in a moment, it's just
yeah, Bartleby, you sort of like think, oh, I mean, you not well versed to alcoholic beverages, and it's quite strong. This it feels like fermented fruit, or
Oh, dear.
so it's quite sweet, or it could be fermented root vegetables, and you know the.
goat's milk.
Yeah, and both Hazel, you've tasted something similar to this in the past, and you think there's a slight tint of horse urine in there as well. You know, not that you've drunk it before, but just because you know the smell. And Bartleby and Hazel, you're well in the mood of it. You know, like you said, this is nomadic tradition, and you're sort of like. Gulping it back, almost like trying to keep up with the barbarians. And Bartleby, you sort of like look at it and just sort of like down the whole first goblet and think, oh, that was nice. And no sooner have you done it, it's filled up again, and you two feel rather happy and merry. And at one point, it almost like looks as Bartleby's going to step up and start to dance round the fire with everybody. And Hengist, you sort of like see him and they sort of like reach out and grab his arm and sort of like bring him back and sit him down. And Bartleby goes to almost like that depressive state, you know, when you the whole world is against me and everything like that. And Hazard, you become very thankful to Gulliver, like you said before, and you keep sort of like saying to him, oh, Gulliver, you are such a good person. It's like whack him on the
Best friend in the whole
world. Yeah, and Gulliver, you sort of like that, you know, and the night
You may be a boy, but you're a man to me.
yes, it is a sort of like, and Gulliver, you're thinking, what's he going on about? Say again, sorry.
It's the last time I save him.
Yeah, and the evening goes on, and eventually people start to dissipate into their tents, and there's various men and women going off in various directions, and it's sort of like you almost like feel that the sun is about to come up. The revelry and the celebration has been going all night, and the chief leads you to what appears to be an empty tent or empty shelter, and he sort of like looks at you and he says, fear not, we have removed the goats before you enter, my friends. And he sort of like bashes you on the back and you sort of like stumble in, and you know, you suddenly notice that Gulliver or Hengist, you're most sober, Bartleby and Hazard, you sort of like stumble in, and they've got some kind of straw bedding on the floor, and Hengist, you notice as you walk in that you step on something that is obviously goat poo that's just been left there, and Gulliver, there's this distinct smell of animals in here, but you settle down and the night passes. Bartleby and Gulliver, you will get magic points back. Bartleby, you will not be awake during the midnight hours to actually convert it to devotion pool. So you'll get your magic pool back, but not your devotion pool, as you are quite worse for wear what you've only been asleep for what Hazra and Bartleby you think is probably 10 minutes, but you've had a good night sleep, and it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and Bartleby and Hazra, you wake up rather sore.
Thick tongue.
Yeah, and you sort of like are not pleasant at all. You're somewhat grumpy, and the mashed, and then you sort of like go out, and there seems to be wine or more ale. There's some stale bread for breakfast, and you force it down because try to drink quite a lot of the lukewarm water that is brought to you, and the tribe heads out to the Zugtok site, and the beast is still there. There's quite a lot of flies buzzing around it now, and you notice that some of its fur and some of its features, it's noticed that one of its eyes been pecked out by some kind of carrion, some vulture or crow or something like that. And you notice that it's lost a lot of blood, as much as it possibly can, seeped into the ground around it, and there's lots of cheering, and they bring what appears to be axes, and they proceed to axe off the head. So it's not like a clean blow, it's all like ka-dunk, ka-dunk, ka-dunk. Bartleby and Hazra, can you just make me willpower checks, please? Yeah, and both of you sort of like see and hear the first sort of like slap of this axe in, and there's sort of like, there's no sort of like spraying of blood, but the sound of it makes you sort of like, yeah, you go behind the rock and sort of like dispatch last night's and this morning's meal, etc. And Gulliver and Hengist sort of like, think, what on
lightweights?
Yeah, lightweights. Yeah, and they sort of like hack it off, and they've brought like 2 long sticks that they're sort of like strapping it onto either side to sort of like hoist it up onto their shoulders to take back to the town, to the village. And the chief comes up to you, and he sort of like looks at Hazra and Bartleby and sort of like says, I am surprised that you cannot hold your drink as much as your friends here. However, we had a deal. I will provide you with a guide. And he sort of like shouts out, and he goes, Donk! Donk! And this rather teenage-looking lad, he seems to be older than you, Gulliver. Or maybe how old is Gulliver?
Well, Gulliver started off and he was 17, but about a year's passed. So...
Yeah, so you think he's probably the same age as you, but he almost like has Hengist's physique. So he's a bit like Gulliver, but has Hengist's physique with strength and sort of like seems to be quite nimble, and he sort of like comes running up, and he's just wearing like some kind of breeches or some kind of kilt, and he has his spear and buckler, and he has sort of like tattoos across his naked chest and stomach, and he sort of like comes up and he sort of like nods to the I just got a YouTube subscription, because did you hear it meow?
I did.
Yeah, that means I've got a YouTube subscription, and it sort of like goes. He sort of like comes up and salutes, and he says, "Donk, take these. Guide them through the land until you reach the mountains." And he sort of like nods, and he seems to be somewhat annoyed. Gulliver and Hengist, just make insight rolls for me, please. Yeah, he seems to be annoyed, but you're not too sure why he's annoyed. And he sort of like looks at you all, and he looks sort of like disdainfully at Bartleby and Hazard and says, "We leave now." And he sort of like turns round and sort of like heads off, and you turn to leave, and the chief just says, "Friends, I will remember your bravery as we fought the great Zugtok together. Your names will go down in history of your great deeds. I am getting my skald, my bard, to write of our epic encounter once more as soon as I return." And then everybody sort of like cheers again, and sort of like they head off to one end, and Dunk is sort of like there waiting for you to arrive, and he sort of like looks at you and he says, "Where are we going?"
Before we go, I need a short spear if you have one to spare.
He sort of like almost like sighs, as if to say, "Do you not look after your weapon?" And sort of like goes off, and he sort of like finds a spear of one of the people who are setting off, and sort of who's got two, just happens to have two, and brings you one over, and he says, "Where are you going? Where shall I lead you?"
Can you lead us towards the river, and then
I'll bring up the map again for you.
towards the mountain?
So just so people watching the stream knows, the grey part of the map, the characters have no idea. They can't actually see that. They can only see it on the stream. And this cross is where they were. Yeah. So you want to... What was that? Sorry, Gulliver. I didn't hear.
Well, we said towards the river and then up towards the mountain. But if he could lead us to the source of the Eel River.
Yeah. So what he says to you, he says, "I will take you to where the river meets the Eel River, goes into the mountains. I am not following you beyond. I cannot lead you beyond that. Great evil lies sleeping in the Black Veil Mountains."
What do you mean, great evil?
And we'll assume that this conversation, therefore, is going on as you set off with the thing. Who's driving Whippet, by the way?
Me.
Okay, then. So just roll your riding, your drive skills. Sorry, not riding, drive skill. Sorry, Gulliver. What did you say?
Gulliver had said, "What do you mean, great evil?"
And you sort of like, oh, nice driving, just. Yeah, and Bartleby, you've decided that it's probably better to walk.
Yeah, I did want to pray for Hazra at some point, because I believe that my goddess might be able to help us in this journey.
Cool, yeah. And what would you like to pray for him for?
I wanted to seeing that he was vomiting with me, I wanted to use this prayer, call on Amriel to see if he's worthy of being cleansed of this. Because
yeah, nice
after
one.
missing her last night, I'm sure I'm not. Here is the rule for that, if that works for you. Undeserving.
Oh no, you can probably take minutes on it in any case, which will make it easy. So you have to take quite a lot of time. You I presume that you're not doing it on yourself.
I presume I'm unworthy.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, but Hazra, you do feel better as the light of Amriel.
It's strange, the feeling of last night's festivities have seemed so fast.
Yeah.
I can only assume that Amriel is to be thanked.
But Bartleby, you decide to walk.
Yes.
Because all the jiggering around on the wagon. But Gulliver, you're probably walking with Donk, and he says, "Have you not heard the legends?"
We're strangers to this land. We like a good story. What does the legend say?
Yeah, and he sort of like you sort of shortly after this you sort of like stop for rest, and he shares food. Any food has been up. Your supplies have been updated back to their original amount due to stopping at the Black Veil camp. And you sort of like sit down. It probably the end of the before you go to sleep and set watches and things. And he sort of like settles down and says, "Great evil once lived in the Black Veil Mountains, although for some time it has been somewhat quiet. However, if you were to believe my great grandmother, she told of cultists worshipping evil animal-like deities in the mountains, sending out search parties to grab the unexpected, and escort them to either be converted or sacrificed."
Well, that doesn't sound good.
It was years ago, centuries. I'm sure that nothing lives up there now. And he sort of like looks over. It's almost as if he's telling it like a ghost story round the fire, as if you guys don't know what's going on, and he's quite enjoying and they talk about it.
What seemed to put a stop to them?
It's not known. Some say that there was a mountain that erupted fire and ash and covered them all. Some say you can still hear their cries from beneath the ground, where they have called out that they've been driven mad over the years, but kept alive by some strange magic.
Horrifying.
Well, even the goat shaman from the camp, she will not even venture to the mountains, either real or even dream walking. She says the evil spirits still live up there. There was a tale once, and forgive me, I do not know whether or not this is true, but it is said that once a party of barbarians, Black Veil barbarians, headed up there to try to find the ruins, try to find out whether or not there were any hidden treasure. 10 ventured up. However, only 1 returned, and it is rumoured that he cannot talk or speak of anything that happened up there. He just babbles and drools and says nothing, and whenever darkness comes, he just curls up and hides away from the encroaching shadows.
So nobody goes up there at all?
Well, there was a group of travellers that passed by some time ago. Quite a hefty group of people. They looked like they had outriders and armoured people with them, and 2 strange hooded people. Almost not human.
Your chieftain said that he knew where they were going.
And he sort of like looks once more and says, against our warnings, they ventured into the Black Veil Mountains. Surprisingly enough, no one has seen them since.
How long ago was this, my friend?
Oh, some days? Days, maybe longer. It is strange. What
These
dark
strange-
powers.
These strange creatures, did they seem to float, the hooded ones?
hooded.
With the riding.
They were on a wagon, but they held themselves strangely. They didn't stoop or rock with the wagon. They seemed to be stationary.
Like suspended.
Yes. And people who saw them swore that their hoods were covering naught but darkness.
Thank you, my friend. I think we have seen these people before, many, many thousands of leagues away.
We will reach where the Eel River goes into the mountains at the end of tomorrow. I advise you not to make camp inside the mountains. One more rest should do it, and then I will return back to our tribe and celebrate in the victory that I have missed accompanying you to this place.
Thank you.
You know, your help here is very welcome, and I understand, coming from my tribe, that missing a celebration of great victory that we and your chieftain did would be very hard on you. But our thanks go with you.
You sort of like goes, thanks will not fill my empty belly with mead and fresh goat meat, for tonight they will have slain a goat. The meat will be smelling sweetly. The blood would have been mixed to form a strange pudding that we eat fried, and the intestines would be filled again with the meat of the fallen goat. And there will be the normal wrestling match to see who is lucky enough to get the head. And he sort of like looks down at himself and inspects his pecs, and he sort of like flexes his biceps a bit. He says, I was in for a good chance, but I had to accompany you.
Oh well, maybe next talk.
Maybe next time there's a large round reveling beast around.
Next time, maybe I will be the leader and accompany you on great victories, such as the form our leader did with the great Zugtok. Tell me, who killed, who delivered the final blow? He's talking to you, Hazra.
It was what I would say a group effort. We all delivered the final blow.
Was there much of a
Such
battle?
Huge. You saw the beast. It was a huge beast. No single man could deliver the final blow. It was a culmination of many blows over time and effort, and even these Gulliver, his small boy, and Bartleby, this man of God, they all helped and they all contributed to the death of this beast.
He seems very intent listening to. Roll for me, please. Either an influence roll, or if you've got oratory, you can roll that.
I have influence, which is going to be a hell of a roll. Can I use a point of luck to reverse that just for fun?
Yes, you can, and you sort of like reverse it and sort of like, will that give it won't give you a crit, and you sort of like he seems to be hanging on your every word, and
it's not about the single action. The whole action comes from a group of people who are united as one. The spear point is only as strong as its shaft.
And some of you, Bartleby, you sort of like settle down and feeling a little bit queasy still, and everybody, you sort of like fall off to sleep with the sound of Hazra's voice
droning on,
recounting the epic battle. And suddenly, Bartleby, just as you fall to sleep, you suddenly think, he hasn't mentioned me yet. as sleep just takes you, and that's it. You set up guards, etc., and you pass through the night, and you've got another day's journey until you reach where the Eel River enters the mountains. Is there anything that anybody would like to do between now and then?
I mean, Gulliver, when we've set. Oh, sorry.
It's all right. You can go.
All right. Gulliver wants to. When we're making the journey the following day, he wants to ask Bartleby why we've been given cold weather clothing when we go into somewhere that he thought it was going to be really, really hot because of a volcano.
Well, I mean, when we climbed the great mountain that had the wyvern on it, it got a little bit colder as we went up. Perhaps there's areas where it becomes very elevated, and we'll need this unpleasant smelling
Yes.
skin to remain warm. I mean, can we see at all any like snowy peaks on the Blackville Mountains?
It definitely high up. There's definitely snow in the mountains. Definitely. Whether or not when it actually you're going up this high, you're not too sure. Can I just say that I found my favourite crit only roll for ranged weapons or chucked weapons. It's called over penetration. You shoot through multiple targets that are in a line or densely packed in a group. The attacker's shot travels through the first defender. If it overcomes the armor, hits the second defender, doing half damage to the second. Any other special effects apply to the first defender. Oh, that is excellent. That is like Hazra throwing a spear and it going straight through the first person. And hitting the second one.
I need to learn bow, Oh.
Yeah, I thought Gulliver would have been. I said it in the Discord. I think he would have been a fantastic having the bow up on the on that.
Oh yeah, on the high rise. On
yeah.
The
so sorry, Gulliver. What did you say?
No,
Oh yes, yeah, I've done that. Anybody else like to do or say anything else?
Well, Azra will be like, so Tutu, what's his name?
Donk.
Donk.
Flipper.
Donk. It's very straightforward. It's just this way up to the. Is there anything in our path? Because if there isn't, you might as well go back home, my friend, and enjoy the celebrations.
Yeah, so, sure as you say that, he sort of like doesn't, he just sort of like looks ahead and says, just follow the river until you reach the mountains. And even without saying anything at all, even saying, oh, do you really? He just sort of like lifts his spear. He puts his spear into a horizontal fashion ready to start running. And he just sort of like heads off. And before he goes, he sort of like bows or does a chest salute, whatever barbarians do. I think I seem to remember that Raf's barbarian did a wee off the back of the wagon.
Yes.
For me.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Yeah, in his first ever game, I think you were going through the roads of Lindo, and he weed off the back of the wagon. I remember that. Right, yeah. So you get to your mountain pass, so to speak. When you actually get to the edge of the mountain, it's a good idea to sort of like make camp on this side of it, and you set up your watches. Bartleby, you'll be able to put something into your devotion pool now if you wish, and sort of like take it move it across, and magic points will return but not luck points. And could you all please make perception rolls for your watch. Oh, we're on form tonight.
Yeah. Angus got a perception roll.
I think everybody got a perception roll. Yeah.
Nobody got it.
Fantastic. Yeah, so
Wild.
throughout the night, everybody's watch is rather disturbing, and even the people who are trying to drift off to sleep, it takes you a long time, and it's not really because you can't pin it down to what it is, and yet you almost like get this sense of doom from the mountains, and it's almost as if from the mountains out across the plain everything seems quite normal, but there's something quite strange about the mountains.
How close are we to it now?
You're literally in the foothills, so the river sort of like starts to go, so you're on your map. If you look at your map, you're sort of like there. Can you see just in between? I'll put a little dot on for you. You're there.
Yeah.
And you sort of like can see the mountains, and the other thing that you do see in the distance is two things that remind you of things. The first thing you see is a very pointy mountain, which you remember from the mosaic, and I think Bartleby, you realised that it was it? I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Father's Peak.
Father's Peak, that's it. Yeah, and you sort of like see that. The other thing that you see is an almost like a mountain that's had its summit cut off, and you can see it in the picture just here.
That's to the other side of the river, is it?
Well, the river sort of like curls round, and then you can't see it as it goes into the mountains. And this is sort of like further into the range. And you do notice every now and again there seems to be a whiff of smoke or fumes or something coming out of it. Doesn't seem to be gushing out of it. It's just now and again. But with all your perception rolls, you see this. Everybody sees it at some point, but it's almost like the unnerving effect that the mountains seem to have.
Is there any signs of life, or as it gets darker? Is there any signs of light, so that if somebody's sort of like it's got hollowed of fires or something, sort of like on the mountainside? We know that there's been a lot of people going.
Yeah.
Through,
And that's probably maybe what's so unnerving about it, because there seems to be no lights, there seems to be no sounds or anything.
No tracks on the road we're following.
Well, you've arrived here and made camp, so tomorrow, once you get up, you'll be able to start to track your way in along the river, on the side of the river.
What about animal sounds? Like all the normal sort of like sounds at night of animal.
Yeah, so right across the mountainside, nothing. You don't see anything circling in the sky. There's not a wyvern over there or anything like that. And yet across the plain, you can see sort of like fires from the barbarians' forts, and birds of prey sort of like skimming down on the edge of the mountain, just riding on their thermals that have been forced up by the edge of the mountains. But it's really, you really get this sense of foreboding, and it's not a pleasant. It's the sort of thing that causes Bartleby to utter a silent prayer to Amriel. It's almost as if maybe I imagine, Bartleby, when you light your candle for your worshipping to speak to Amriel, it's almost as if your light is not shining as far as if it's almost like dampened by something. And it's almost as if Maroth is more supreme in this air. And there's clouds that suddenly block out the moon altogether. And it's very it's not nerve-wracking. It's unbalancing. You don't feel you feel very insecure and sort of like looking around, and it's this kind of thing that you sort of like think you see a shadow moving throughout your watches, you know, and even then you can't get to sleep, even with Hazra telling stories of the great battle. So the next morning, you sort of like wake up and you exchange all these thoughts, and you start to head off along the river. So Hazra, you can now roll your tracking.
Tracking, certainly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and you sort of like head off, and as you sort of like, you notice there seems to be some kind of track that is going along the river, the side of the river, and here it looks quite worn. It looks like it's been cleared. You can't see any tracks of anybody travelling or what's been travelling, but it's definitely been cleared. But you think cleared for some time. The river might even flood onto a small floodplain here. And as you carry on, you notice that the gaps at either side of the river sort of like disappear. And it sort of like comes in, and eventually you hit it that the both sides of the mountains come down to the river. Bartleby, Hengist, and Gulliver, can you just roll for me an easy perception check? Oh, nice one, Bartleby. You haven't seen a thing.
Hengist actually got his easy perception check as well.
Yeah. So, you sort of like head off, and Bartleby sort of like thinking, oh, well, this is a waste of time, and looks around, can't see anything. Hazra's looking at the ground for tracks. And Hengist and Gulliver, you see something, or you remember seeing something a little bit way back, and you sort of like say to them, I think there was something a bit strange further back. And you sort of like go back, and all of a sudden, before the mountains come down, there's what appears to be two little stones, and they're sort of like almost like little gravestones. Does that make sense? And very small. They're only about this big, and they seem
like road markers.
Yeah, and they seem to be in the ground, and it's only when you go back to it and you sort of like look at it, there seems to be some kind of rune edged or carved into it, chiseled into them both. They both seem to be separate runes, but these are, you know, the ground has grown up around them, and you needed a perception roll because a lot of the grass is over it as well.
Are these two? Sorry.
No, I was going to say. As you last Gulliver, do these strange markings match to anything you have in the paper?
Do the two runes look like two squiggly lines and another one like a?
Are you comparing it to the
map that I drew on the mosaic? So the map that I drew on the mosaic, if you're looking at the...
Hang on, let me just move you. I just need to bring it to the front.
Those two runes there.
Oh yes, yeah, the squiggly line and the triangle. Yeah,
within the triangle.
That's exactly what they look like. And so, like, looking at your map, what you squiggled down, they look exactly like that. Next to each other. You can look up the Hazra there, just roll your tracking skill for me again. This would be an easy check. Oh yeah, and once Gulliver and Hengist point out the rocks, you immediately see that there's definitely something's gone through this. You don't think it might be as big as a wagon, but the ground is not disturbed that much at all. But you notice that the sides are. So, like when a branch sticks out, you can notice that it's been snapped. Yeah, and things like that. And you suddenly notice that there's some like discarded scrap of food or something like that, as if quite a few people have been through this. And then as you sort of like just go a little bit further in, you notice that, it's definitely been a group of people, probably matching the wagon and the miners and the troops have come through this.
Does the path, does it look like it leads upwards?
Yeah,
or...
it seems to, if you're looking at my map online, you're sort of like, can you see at the edge of the actual rivers? You can see it. Yeah, I'll just colour it in for you so you can see it. So you're sort of like stood there, and it almost like goes off in an easterly direction. So the river carries on north, and this road sort of like bends off to the east, as if it's sort of like travelling in that direction.
So around the back of the first mountain on the map.
Yeah, it seems to sort of like head up into the mountains, but whereabouts you're not too sure.
Gulliver's going to he's going to take the drawing that he used on from the mosaic out of his boot, and he's going to have a closer. He's going to have a closer look at it, and he's going to say, "Should we have not have come across the town yet, or what remains of it?"
I don't know, Gulliver, because I've just found these tracks here which seem to be going off that way towards the east. Where are we on your parchment?
Well, maybe my parchment's really old, but
Have we passed where we are supposed to meet the village, or? I mean, the nomads seem to have no idea of any village around here.
maybe I just wrote it down wrong.
Maybe the river has changed directions and destroyed the village. The rivers do this; they change course, perhaps. And
I don't think it matters. If the other wagons and the two men who seem to know where they're going have already gone this way, then we should carry on and see whether or not we can catch up to them.
it seems that many men have come this way with wagons. They seem to have come through this way and then they benched off east, deeper into the mountains.
Okay, so is the plan to head off, or?
Hengist, what are your tactical thoughts about this?
Well, it seems wise to follow them. Have we seen any of the other signs on your drawing, Gulliver? We've seen these ones, and Hengist will point at the two symbols, and then he'll look at the drawing and look for the next lot of symbols along the river and say, "What about? Has anyone seen anything that resembles this?"
Resembles what?
Well, either the symbols or the next, sort of like the next visible landmark apart from the town that's on your drawing.
Got like a squiggly line.
Mr. Bartleby?
I think that was a forest.
I can't see your map. I can only see my map, which is expertly drawn. Let's have a look. Hang on. Let me
put my camera up so that I can see.
So Hengist will not be pointing at the town. He'll be pointing at the next ones over. What look like the pillars
No, you haven't
with the
seen.
triangles on them.
No, you haven't seen anything like that yet.
Okay.
I say we keep following.
Seems
So
wise.
the plan is going to.
Yes, let's keep following these tracks.
Okay. So you've followed this track, and Hazra, as you get further and further in, you notice that there's been more and more disturbance. It's obviously that they've been trying to get
Cutting the path through, aren't they?
yeah, and after a while, you notice that you seem to be going through some kind of coniferous wood. It's very dense, very little undergrowth at all. There's quite a thick canopy of needle-like trees, and you do notice that the temperature dips slightly at this point. You're still sort of like walking through the day, and as you sort of like continue, you also, all of you, get this feeling that it's not a straight route. It's definitely inclined. You're definitely walking up. And sort of like as you're walking along, I presume somebody like Hazra is taking the lead. And as you look ahead, Hazra, through this cut forest, you do notice that you can see what appears to be a wagon up ahead. It's off the road, and it's also overturned. And if you imagine the edge of the road, so this is where you're walking, it's turned that way, so the gap is here. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So the gap's not sort of like, it's over to one side, so you can see the two wheels facing skyward. But the gap of the wagon, where you'll put things, is actually facing onto the road, not into the forest.
No. So it's like it's the 90-degree angle and tips over.
Yes.
Does it look like it's been dropped over to block off the road itself?
No, not at all. It looks as if anything, if it was probably tipped over for the contents to be pulled out onto the road. You notice that there's no mule or horse or anything like that. You can approach it if you wish.
As you will say, just stay back for a moment. This is the perfect spot for ambush. Would you think, Hengist?
Hengist will give a quick second glance around and say, not a half bad one.
Mm. What I will do is, if you all stay back here, I will try to sneak or stealthily move forward, and hopefully, if anything happens to me, you'll know it's a trap.
I'm good at stealth.
Okay, if you want to come to Gulliver. Maybe you should go around the other way now.
As Gulliver just teleports himself to the wagon, yeah?
That's so true.
Okay then, so Hazra...
So what I want to do is go in a curve around just to make sure there's nobody hid behind it.
Okay then, so Hazra, you can roll, you can use your survival to augment your stealth. Gulliver, just roll your stealth. So remember, augmented is 20%, so divide by 10, then double it.
So 13.
I thought you said you were good at stealth.
I've several times and I've been really, really good.
When you said you were good at stealth, I thought you had something like, 85% stealth.
You've got to remember this is Gulliver's Bravado as well.
Is your stealth really 85%?
No, that's with my 13 bonus.
Oh, right. Wow. So you sort of like head off in round and sort of like taking a roundabout way, and you sort of like creep forward, and Bartleby and Hengist, you can sort of like hear Gulliver sort of like, what are you going to do, Gulliver? What will it sound like as you're...
Well, he'll sort of like be trying to follow Hazra, but occasionally he'll just stand on a twig.
Yeah, or maybe maybe
You
has
see a flash of ginger hair
Yeah.
like, appearing between branches and things.
Or a bump into my back.
or Hazra sort of like bends back one of those springy things. And Hazra goes boo, and Gulliver keeps sort of like stamping on something Hazra and then go, sorry. That and she's and Bartleby and Hengist, you just sort of like look at each other, and I imagine Gulliver doing the actions to be stealthy, so he goes and you can sort of like see him sort of almost like tiptoeing, really. Do you know, I must. Somebody said that they watched your Star Wars stream and it looked like a Lauren Hardy movie. I'll have to watch it back. The action.
Like a Lauren Hardy movie.
Araxia, I'm sure it was Araxia. He said, I watched it. He said, it was. Have you ever seen Lauren Hardy? And I said, yes. That's another fine mess you've got me into. And he said it was just like that.
We did have issues.
The only thing I came in when you were trying to log on, I think you were all trying to log in,
the patch.
And Gulliver said, so has anybody got any, so John Morgan said, has anybody got any quests? Anybody got any quests? And you were saying, well, I've got this one. And all of a sudden John Morgan said, right, we'll do mine then.
That's generally how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, it's Chuggerwood's stream, so...
Yeah, so eventually Gulliver and Hazra meet the wagon, and just make a perception check with you two so I can see what sort of information you get before you get too close to it.
Gulliver!
That's why.
That's why I brought the...
Yeah, so both of you, when you get there seems to be no hiding place or anything. Gulliver, you notice that it looks like the contents of the wagon has been removed. It looks like it's been tipped over almost like on purpose.
Has it got all wheels?
Yeah, it's got four wheels, but
Are they all fixed?
yeah, they're all fixed. But as you get to this point, and you sort of like keeping out, Gulliver, you sort of like look ahead, and you suddenly, with your critical perception roll, see that the trees are getting closer together, and there's quite a steep incline. And you sort of like put two and two together, and exercising your grey cells, you suddenly realise that they must have left it here because it wouldn't be able to get up the path. You do notice that there's various things, little bits of dust and food stuff in there. There's definitely some food stuff in there, sort of like the smell of cinnamon or nutmeg in there, some kind of cooking stuff. Seems to be something like flour. Some white powder that you're not too sure about, but it looks like flour. And apart from that, it looks just gone. You notice that the harness of the horse is actually there as well. Now that you've got up to the wagon, so it looks like they've unhitched the horse or pony or donkey, left the harness here and they're probably either leading it or riding it or eating it. Yeah, but apart from that, there's nothing. There doesn't seem to be anything sinister here at the moment.
Anything you said, there's food stuff and things like that. Anything unusual? Because we've got two people on this wagon that were on this wagon that we don't think are human or aren't ordinary. So is there any in this food stuff that's there? Is there anything that's like? There's only slight
remains. They look like some flour, some cinnamon, some herbs. It smells a bit of nutmeg and things like that. There's no sort of like weird beetles or anything like that.
Okay, well, Hazra would be come forward, people. Hengist and Bartleby, it's all safe here.
Are we going? Can we actually get past the wagon?
Yeah, it looks like the road was here and it's tipped out, so they've pulled things onto the road, and then obviously carrying them further on. It just looks like the wagon couldn't go any further.
Is
And-
our wagon smaller than theirs?
No,
Okay.
Couldn't go any further because of the incline, or because
and because of the close both. Your donkey, your donkey might make it up there better. It'll need a hard or formidable drive roll, but
or good run up.
yeah, but it's the branches and the closeness of the trunks. You're not going to be able to weave. You can't just go straight. You're going to have to do some fancy driving. The wagon might go off kilter. The wheel might get caught on a branch or root, and damage itself. You can try it by all means.
No, we will not try it because this wagon is borrowed. This is not our wagon. We need to return it at the end. So I think perhaps there's plenty of food over there for the donkey. If we tie the donkey and we put the brakes on the wagon, take what we need and move forward.
Can we not take the donkey with us as a pack animal?
Oh, it's like Lord of the Rings.
That's what I was thinking. A donkey, not a pony.
Come on, Sam.
I don't really want to tie him up because what
I'll tie you up, and if a wolf comes on,
was if there's wild animals and stuff like that?
you could just turn to it and say,
No,
"Go home."
Yeah, go home.
So
I
it
think
knows the way back to Rivendell.
Angus has the best idea that if we put any provisions we need on its back, it can follow us through the trees.
Are you sure? I think I can probably get the wagon up there.
It's fine, Gulliver. I thank you for your concern, but this is. I promised the lady we got the wagon up that we would take it back, and I feel that we cannot safely guarantee to get it through here, so we leave it here.
But someone might steal it.
Well, if they do, we will hunt them down and kill them, like the thieves they are.
So the plan, therefore, is to put whatever you can on Whippet. Is that and then lead the Whippet on and leave the other wagon here. Gulliver, just roll your drive roll because I'm just really.
I would have got it up there.
Let's just see.
And I would have used a point of luck.
Look, I was going.
You want to see my drive skill?
It's sort of like, yeah. So you unhitch the Whippet and you put food stuff on it, and Hazra, you've done things like this before, and you will have Hengus, you would have worked with horses a little bit bigger than this one, more noble, but you sort of like start to lead it up, and
lead him.
Yeah, and you notice several things. You seem to go up on an incline quite quickly, and you suddenly come over the top of a ridge, and you seem quite high, and you seem to be stood in what appears to be 4 standing stones or pillars of stones. They're very very weather worn. There's things that have grown up around them. They don't look substantial at all. They look like they could fall down any minute.
Are these similar to the ones we saw when we were at Aylesford?
No.
No, right.
But let's see your map again, Gulliver.
There. These ones?
Yes, yeah, exactly there. Okay, and just out of interest, as you look across,
a little one in the middle.
Well, yes, when you get there, you actually see that, but it's almost like a mound of grass now. And off to your south, as it is, as you look down, you can actually see on a ridge in the distance those 2 signs, those 2 symbols, the one that looks like a cave entrance and a man. And as you look out along the valley, because it looks like the river goes straight and you've come up, so you're up one side now looking down across the valley. You notice, according to your map, where the town should be and where the forest should be. You notice that it just appears to be a blanket of burnt land and grey ashes. It's as if a mighty dragon has just come down this this sort of like ravine, blowing fire on it and blowing fire down on it, and sort of like you can see burnt trees, the stumble of burnt trees, and you can also see there seems to be a town down there, but it seems to be almost like filled up with ash and what seems to be rock. It seems to be very black rock over it, and you can see that you're from where you are, you're sort of like looking down along the vantage point, and the road on the opposite side of this mountain point sort of like goes down again into coniferous forest, and there's a definite demarcation from sort of like halfway across the forest up to yours. It's as if something has burnt it up to a certain point. You also notice that there's quite a wind blowing. It's as if it's been funneled down the valley, and there's sort of like dust being blown up all over the place. And all of you make locale rolls for me. Yeah, and Bartleby, can you just make a history roll while you're at it? Okay.
Can I use my point of luck to reverse that?
Yes, you can. So, Bartleby and Bartleby, you sort of like get the group together, and you sort of everybody's looking around and feeling quite puzzled about it, and you sort of like notice the smoke rising up from the side, and you sort of like retell it to you inform the party that it looks like the Firetop Mountain, the volcano as you know it, probably erupted some time ago, and the burning is probably the flow of lava, and it's been covered with soot and ash and everything like that, and you sort of like point out various areas where the town would be now. That just seems to be filled up. And if you remember on the map that Gulliver's got, if you just hold it up one more time so everybody can see it, Gulliver.
I don't know. We put my camera up.
So just move it up a little bit. Yeah. So this, can you see the flat top mountain just ahead?
Mm-hmm.
On the east side. That's fine now. That east side of the bridge. So that remember your path goes down again back into some kind of forest, and you can't even see that. It seems to be just covered in ash and rubble, as if the mighty volcano just erupted and showered lava and ash down on everything. And as you sort of like stood up here, you hear anybody who made their perception roll hears something, and it seems to be the sound of something moving quite quickly. It doesn't sound to be big, but there sounds to be a few of them, and they seem to be moving with pace, coming up to your vantage point from the opposite side. You know, I said you were on a ridge and it goes back down, coming up that. You can actually hear them making their way through the undergrowth. They are so noisy, and you can hear almost like cries of "this way, go away, this way, this way." They sound human, but they seem to be moving at speed and shouting at each other as if they're coming towards you or fleeing something or
There's a panic flee.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that would be a nice place to leave it for this week, and we can go from there next week. So yeah, so you're there. You're obviously on the right track, although the valley seems to have changed somewhat. And there's definitely seems to be a group of people fleeing in panic coming up towards you. So, yeah, well done for defeating the Zugtok. Well done for navigating to this point, the care of Gulliver's fantastically drawn map. And good luck as we see what comes up onto your ridge in the next adventure. So yeah, thank you for everybody. Thank you for the follows through the last bit. Thank you for everybody who's in the chat chatting away. Guys, do you have any announcements or anything that you would like to make, players?
Yes, Ariel rocks. No, sorry.
Well, that's just true.
Can I just say, Bartleby, that I think everybody needs to come to church with you on Sunday.
Yes.
Bartleby, I think, was the MVP of tonight's session.
Yeah.
It's technically Ariel, but I'm just kind of there.
Oh, it's nothing to do with me. I'm just doing my best. Everybody did
We
that.
will hold a candle for you.
Yeah, I think that definitely some church going is required when if you get back to Lindo. Okay, yeah, so next week we'll pick it up straight from there. We'll see what's coming in panic mode up the side of the mountain to your ridge. You do have the advantage, as Hengist will tell you, because you are on the high ground and the things like something is coming up to you. But where the Chaos Mother's temple is, where these people have gone, or indeed what's coming up onto the ridge, or more importantly maybe what is pursuing them up on the ridge, we'll have to wait till next week, where you might actually find Zuktok's mother. You killed the baby. Yeah, so hopefully we'll leave it there.
Mountain cousin.
Anybody got any announcements that they want to make?
What's that coming over the hill?
It's a monster. Brilliant. So anything else? No?
Nope.
No. Okay then. So thank you for coming along and joining the chat. I hope you enjoyed tonight's role-playing game. We will be back next Sunday if everybody's around to find out what is actually coming up the hill and whether or not the party eventually finds the Chaos Mother's temple. Until next time, I'd just like to say to each and every one of you, please remember to be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter. And the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, and we will catch you all next Saturday. And until then, happy dice rolling. Okay, see you all later, guys. Bye. Wave goodbye. And